On the morning of January 23, 1556, the Shaanxi region, located in the heart of China, experienced one of the darkest days in its history. The cold winds of winter were blowing over the Loess hills, and the villages were still asleep. People, as they had for centuries, lived in homes carved out of or built with Loess soil. These houses were known for keeping warm in winter, staying cool in summer, and being easy to build. However, while Loess made life easier, its loose and fragile structure also hid a great danger. That morning, tectonic stress that had been building up deep underground for centuries was suddenly released. At first, a faint rumble was heard, then the earth began to shake, as if a giant beast had awakened. The trembling turned into a violent quake within seconds. Walls cracked, and cave houses began to collapse. The first screams mixed with the rising clouds of dust. Many people were buried before they even understood what was happening. Loess caves tore like paper, mountain slopes broke apart. Fissures several meters deep opened in some areas as the earth split, and some rivers changed their course. The earthquake was not limited to Shaanxi. It affected a vast area, reaching as far as Shaanxi, Henan, Gansu, Hebei, and Shandong. The tremor devastated cities along a fault line hundreds of kilometers long. Official records of the Ming dynasty noted, "The earth twisted like a dragon and rose to the sky." It is estimated that this earthquake measured 8.0 in magnitude. About 830,000 people lost their lives. This number was recorded as not only China's, but also all of human history's highest earthquake-related death toll. The survivors were left with the fear of aftershocks and the cold of winter. Immediately after the disaster, villages fell silent. People afraid to enter their homes tried to sleep outside by the fire at night. Famine and disease spread quickly. The earthquake had destroyed not only buildings but also farmland. Water became muddy, fields split open, roads were closed by landslides. For the empire of that time, this disaster was not only a natural calamity, but also a social test. Among the people there were rumors that this was the wrath of the heavens, a divine punishment against the moral decline of the empire. Prayer ceremonies were held in temples for days, and offerings were made. Modern science, however, revealed a different picture. Research showed that the region was close to the Huashan fault zone, and this fault had been accumulating energy for centuries. The rupture in 1556 occurred due to the sudden release of this energy. The weak structure of the Loess soil greatly amplified the destruction. The effects of this disaster were not limited to physical destruction alone. It left deep fears in people's memories. The generation born after the earthquake grew up with the thought, the earth can become angry at any moment. Construction techniques changed, stone and wooden structures became preferred, and Loess caves began to be abandoned. The destruction was so great that some settlements disappeared completely. Some cities could not regain their former population for centuries. The rebuilding of roads, bridges, and walls took decades. The accounts of survivors made the extent of the disaster even clearer. According to a village woman, when the earthquake started, she ran to the door of her house, and as soon as she stepped outside, the ceiling behind her collapsed. She lost the rest of her family under the rubble. Another witness told how his house was completely buried, and his neighbors dug him out with shovels and picks hours later. Today, traces of this disaster can still be seen in Shaanxi. Near some villages, the giant fissures that opened that day still remain. Locals call these the wounds of the earth. The stories are still passed down from generation to generation, because this earthquake changed not just one day, but the fate of an entire region. The year 1556 was a turning point in the history of Shaanxi, and since that day, a child looking at the stars at night has always heard the same saying from their elders, "The earth slept, but it never let us forget." If you found the story of this historic disaster interesting, don't forget to like my video, subscribe to my channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Which events from history do you find most impressive? Let's meet in the comments.